interview in a few hours for my CBC internship. I got this. I'm gonna get it because I have all the talent and I am more than capable of doing absolutely anything I want to do in life. Round of applause to me for not getting a single stain on this shirt while doing my makeup. Round of applause. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Somebody. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Stephanie. So in today's video, we're getting right down to business. I'm about to tell y'all what's tea, because one thing about me is you're going to follow me through my journey of life. And today, the newest life update is that I just completed an internship with CBC. You know, it's Canada's public broadcaster, so it's one of the most notable, remarkable places to be for a journalist. I got the opportunity to intern there, and so in this video I'm going to be telling you guys all about it. I'm going to be answering any questions that you have. I'm just going to tell you how I got there and what the process was like, and you know, what I would do, what I wouldn't do if I were to do it again, and all of that fun stuff. So if you're interested in seeing that, then keep on watching. If you like this video, then please make sure to give it a big thumbs up, and if you're new to my channel, subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So if you do not know, I'm about to graduate from journalism school. I studied journalism for 2 years at Seneca College. It was a 2-year program. I have a whole video on my move to Canada, how I got into the school and all of that. So if you want to watch that, then click this tag over here. And the way it works at my school is at the end of your 2-year program, we're all expected to do something called field placement, which is basically where you accumulate hours for working in your field. And for us, the field is journalism. So you could either do your field placement at school, you could do an internship at school, or you find whatever news outlet or anything related to journalism. You do an internship there and you have to do it for at least 100 hours. I remember like getting to the point where, you know, internship was coming along and I felt like I was so unprepared because there's some of my classmates that had got their internship sorted out, like applied and everything, but me, like I always get like anxious to apply to things, so it took me a while to apply. So I always knew I wanted to do an internship with CBC because it's CBC. Like me, one thing about me is I am shooting for the moon, like, and last I'll land among the stars, but I aim really high, and CBC is kind of the highest you can get, kind of. So I always knew I wanted to do CBC, but you know, like I was still just like about it. I have serious imposter syndrome. That's a whole other story for a whole other day. But I knew I wanted to do my internship at CBC, and a bunch of my professors, like in fact all of my professors, believed in me and would tell me like, yes Stephanie, like, you know, like you're getting an internship with CBC, you can do it, like blah blah, all of this stuff. And so to, you know, get an internship with CBC, you have to be recommended by your professor. So your school has to recommend you to CBC before you are allowed to apply. So not just anyone can apply for an internship at CBC. I got recommendations from all my professors, and the way to do that is just to be a good student throughout the year. Like they don't recommend just anyone, so you really have to show them that, you know, you have what it takes. And I wasn't consciously trying to do that. I'm just like a little bit of a nerd, so I'm already like, you know, doing well at school, I'm getting all these honors and stuff like that, so it made sense. And then CBC reached out to me and, you know, said, okay, we invite you to apply for this internship. And so once again, I left my application to the last minute, and I'm so embarrassed to admit this, and any CBC people watching, I'm sorry, but you know, I left it to the last minute. I remember I was in Lagos actually in December, and I was like, oh, I have to apply for this thing, I have to apply for this thing. But then when I was in Lagos, I like in the last minute, like I quickly realized that I could not sign in to my school email or my school anything because I was in Lagos, and there's this 2-factor authentication thing. Long story short, I couldn't log into my school email address, which was where CBC had sent me the link to apply and all that stuff. They had sent it there and I couldn't log in, so I had to go through this whole thing. It was like a whole like mess, And when I tell you I got access to my school email the day of the deadline of this application, it was actually insane. And so I sat home all day applying to this thing, and it wasn't like a short application, like you have to write a cover letter, you have to do a whole bunch of things, which I don't think I have to go through, because if you are accepted for the internship, you will go through all of this. But basically, all in one document, you have to submit a cover letter, a resume, a couple samples of your work. So they will ask for like a writing sample, a multimedia sample, and like an audio sample, like just a couple samples of your work. They'll be more specific. So throughout your school journey, make sure that you're saving all of your work somewhere, like in a drive or whatever, because they will want to see that. And then you can include like references from your professors or whoever you want to include in there. You have to have like a top 5 departments of CBC that you'd want to work at, because CBC is like a big corporation. Like they have different branches and departments, so it's not just news, like hard news that they do. They have like current affairs type things, they have radio shows, they have podcasts, they have all sorts of things. So you have to have your top 5 shows that, or departments that you're interested in working at. And my top 5, I believe, were the education and entertainment department, which is, as the name implies, there's this show called Q. It's like a radio podcast type of thing, but they also have video on like YouTube. It's hosted by this guy, Tom Powers, and he basically like interviews artists, actors, notable names. He interviews them in the entertainment industry. So that was a top pick. News Network, which is where I ended up working at, is their 24-hour news show. So that's like hard, fast-paced news. Like that's like the deep end. So News Network, The National, and one other one I don't remember right now. So I had my top 5 pick, and I included that in my cover letter, told them that this is what I'm interested in. And so on the last day, on the deadline, I applied. And you don't want to be like me, like try to apply ahead of time, because you know it shows that you're diligent and responsible, but it also, you know, removes that pressure. You know, you can get all your things sorted out ahead of time. But one thing about me, I'm gonna get things done. So my application was still pretty, it was still spot on, it just was late. So I applied, and I just like, out of sight, out of mind, like I was enjoying my December in Lagos, like I didn't even think about it. And before I knew it, I think in January, I got invited for an interview. So it was going to be a virtual interview. Before the interview, they will send you an email with the questions they're going to ask you, basically. There's set questions that they ask, and they explained it to me that that's because they want to keep the entire process fair. We were also expected to prepare 2 pitches beforehand. And to people that don't study journalism, these things might sound like gibberish to you, but like a pitch is basically an idea for a possible story that can air on radio, TV, or digital, whatever. It's just an idea for a story. And so I was expected to listen to World Report, which is their 10-minute long radio show, and it's just like a 10-minute rundown of what's going on that you need to know in the news. Great, I love it. I was expected to listen to that the morning of my interview and pitch an idea for one of the stories that could be aired that same day that enhances the story and drives the story forward, basically. We were expected to do that, and I was also expected to come up with a pitch for something that is to air 3 days from then. The day of my interview came, and I was so nervous. Like I had no idea what to expect. I was super nervous, but I already knew a couple people that had already done their internships at CBC, and so they were like giving me tips and ideas, and that was really, really helpful. So that's another thing. Make sure you're making friends in school and networking. So I already had an idea of how the interview would go, but you never really know. I had that interview that day. It went so good. Like it was so fun. Like it was nothing I expected it to be. Like I really thought it was going to be something so like what do you have to offer us, like something so serious, but it wasn't serious at all. It was pretty chill and nice. They were literally just getting to know me, asking me questions about myself. I was just being brutally honest, and I was actually quite nervous. I was like, oh, am I being too honest? but it served me well in the end. And then they quickly asked me for my pitches and I pitched it to them. And then they also asked me a question that has to do with journalistic standards and principles. It was like a scenario based question, like what would you do if this was the situation? And usually those aren't that hard to answer if you just know journalistic standards and principles, which we were already taught in like second, third semester. That same day was the day that Ryan Reynolds came to my school. So I was like, is this a sign? Like it's just a great, fantastic day for me. I don't know the timelines of all of this, but I think like maybe a month later, they got back to me and told me that I got the internship and I would be working at CBC News Network, which was my top pick. But I wanted to work for the later show because I didn't want to wake up so early. But they placed me in the dayside show, which was also a wonderful experience. And like I said, everything happens for a reason. But waking up early in the morning every single day was the hardest thing I have ever had to do. And yeah, everything after that was just generic onboarding, training, background checks, and all of that. So that's how I got the internship. On to the question of how did the internship go. I would 10 out of 10 recommend it. Like, you would not get an experience like this anywhere else. Working at News Network, I was on the Chase team. So I was a Chase producer. So basically the Chase producers are the people who find guests that will be on the show. And so basically we're in charge of pre-interviewing them, doing all the relevant research that we need to do on the topic and on the guest, and making sure that the host gets like a well-packaged, what's it called? It's called a green, but it's technically like a research pack. So it's just like all the information we have. So I have everything, you know, all the answers to my pre-interview questions, like everything in this pack, so that the host knows all she needs to know about the guest before interviewing them live on television. So it was it's a really fast-paced type of job. And yeah, it was really cool to do it and see what the behind the scenes of creating like TV is like. Like, it's so much more than you could ever think. Like, it's so many people working together to make this huge show happen. Like, it's crazy to witness, and I absolutely loved it. I did that for 5 weeks and it was really cool. You know, I met like the most amazing people. 2 tips I want to give you is like, you should be yourself, like I've already said this whole time, but you should also network as much as you can, but genuinely, just meet people and chat with them and get to know people and let people get to know you. So I just changed my camera, meaning the lighting has probably changed, the audio has probably changed. I'm so sorry. The video is almost done, so it's fine. But yeah, like I said, the internship as a whole was just an amazing experience. If I was ever having any issues, I had people to run to and speak to immediately. So I was well taken care of, and I absolutely loved the people I met, even my fellow interns. It was just such a nice time. And yeah, I was able to do some networking and secure myself a little job at CBC Toronto local. And yeah, we'll just see where my journey goes from there. Now I'm going to answer some questions because I'm pretty sure I have left some things out. I'm going to rapid fire through these questions. So first one I'm seeing is, was there a dress code? No, there was no dress code. It was a pretty semi-professional work environment. Like, you don't have to wear a business suit, just dress modest. You don't need to dress fancy. Half the people there are wearing sneakers and sweats. Everyone's just there to do their job. I don't know if I've already mentioned this, but the internship was 6 weeks long. Were there any cons during the internship, and was it a comfortable setting for you? It was a comfortable setting, and the first thing that came to my mind when you asked that was in terms of inclusivity, because I feel the most comfortable when I see people that look like me. That's just me. And yeah, I think it is a pretty inclusive place. There's always room for improvement, of course, but lots of people of color in powerful positions there. The cons for me was the learning period and adjustment period. I really didn't enjoy shadowing and not doing anything. I'm someone that really wants to I want to get my hands dirty. Like I want to like start working as soon as possible, but I understand that that's not how it works. The work we do is very delicate and sensitive. Like you have to be very careful with everything, and so they can't just give me an intern that they know from nowhere all the work to do. But that was definitely the hardest part for me, like having to just sit back and not do much. Was it a paid internship? No, it wasn't a paid internship. A lot of internships are unpaid, unfortunately. Does the internship guarantee you a job there? It definitely does not guarantee you anything, but it definitely gives you that upper hand and it gets your foot in the door. So that's a term that you hear all the time, like just get your foot in the door. Like, you know, applying online for jobs is one thing, but it's honestly really hard to get a job if you're not already within the system. Like it's just really good for, number one, it's really good for the networking. So at least you're meeting real people and talking to them and they're getting to know you, and then you can be offered a job. And yeah, like now that I have the internship, you know, the people there know that, okay, she can do the job, like she can do this job, and they can give it to me and then I can actually get a job. So it's not guaranteed. You have to put in the work. You have to do a really outstanding job, a really good job during your internship. You have to network and show why they should keep you around. Did you need experience to apply? So you absolutely do not need experience to apply for an internship. I would say the experience you do need is like school experience. So obviously you should have done your work at school. I don't know how it works for people who don't go through school. I think you have to be like in journalism school to intern with CBC. And like I'm saying, I'm only speaking for CBC. I don't know about other companies and how it works. What did you do to make them take you seriously and not just look at you as just a student? That is really real. That is really real. And I definitely struggled with that too sometimes, feeling like I wasn't, you know, taken seriously. I wouldn't say it like that. Like it wasn't that bad. Like it wasn't like anything extreme. But sometimes I did feel like, because I did feel like I was being looked at as just a student, but you are just a student in reality. You just have to continue doing the work. Show that you're willing to learn. No one likes a smart ass. Like no one likes someone that feels like they have nothing to learn and they're just perfect. Like no one likes that. So I just showed them that I was willing to learn and I did the work. Literally just do the work and do it well, and you'll gain that respect with time. That's something I learned is very valued in the journalism industry. It's time. Are you done with school now? Yes, I am done with school. So I think I have answered most of the questions that would be on your mind. If you have any other questions that I absolutely did not answer in this video, then comment them down below and I will try my best to answer them. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you learned a thing or two, give it a thumbs up. If you did not learn a thing or two, give it a thumbs up. If you hated this video, give it a thumbs up, because you know what, you're a hater, and that's it. Also, if you're new to my channel, subscribe, because it's a fun lit time over here. We're on the road to 100,000 subscribers. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.